Industry. Industry. What is industry? Internet historian. I have set aside a large piece of land in the southeast of Allantia for an industrial area, and today I'm finally going to fill it in with a big, sweaty pile of Industries DLC unique factories. And if my production facilities can keep up, this is going to make Allantia more money than it will ever need. But first I'm going to relocate some buildings and move this road towards the freeway, just to maximize buildable space, because these factories are massive, and it's going to be a tight fit. Otherwise, this episode will be an exercise in fitting my roads to the buildings, not fitting my buildings to the roads, which is a process that I find pretty entertaining. There's a creator named Quad on the Steam Workshop that makes these really great cyberpunk assets that I've been resisting the temptation to use all over my city, because this isn't a cyberpunk city. It could be, but I definitely wanted Allantia to have the veneer of legitimacy, and also contemporary, not in the far future. So this triangular wedge-shaped building is a cyberpunk asset made by Quad. That's what I was getting at. And it's really cool, and I like it a lot. Anyway, this is where I start to try to make this industrial district not look like a set of plopped buildings, which it obviously is. But I also want it to be interesting to look at, you know, and if there's little details, it kind of implies that there's a story where there really isn't, but I find that to be very engaging. I'm going to build this little garden behind what I presume to be the corporate headquarters here, and then I'm going to move on to a sort of abandoned kind of junkyard that still has green growing out of it, so it's kind of hopeful in a way. I don't know, I find that interesting. You know, the idea that nature still takes over, even in these very uncomfortable places. Very different from my oil district, where nature has just been deleted from existence. So there we go. That's 90% of all the industry that I'm probably going to need in Allantia going forward. If I end up with any more industrial demand in the future, I'll probably satisfy it with office buildings like you do. Way back in the day when I was getting nutty about civil engineering after playing a lot of Cities Skylines, and I was consuming relevant media and information wherever I could find it for free, I read an architecture book written by Kim Jong-un, the former great leader of North Korea, or current great leader, depending on who you ask. And despite being a very short book, it's also extremely light on actual information. It's full of a lot of flowery ideological justification. But one thing that I did pull from it is that sculptures of great importance should have a backdrop. You know, something that complements the sculpture and helps the viewer focus on it and helps them to revere it. And so I've sort of done that with this sculpture. To be super clear, I do not support the ideals of North Korea, and after reading this North Korean architecture book and even a couple of others, it's clear to me that you can't even separate North Korean architecture from the ideology. They think it's the same thing. However, Allantia is based loosely on these authoritarian shadow governments, both real and fictional, and so it makes sense to explore some of these architectural ideas in context, I guess. Anyway, thanks for hanging with me, and I'll see you next time when I will not be discussing ideologies that may prevent me from getting monetized if I ever decide to pursue that.